The leaves are changing colors, falling slowly. The air has a chill. You can hear the ghosts' cries in the distance. It's time to whip out your witch's broom. Autumn is here. And with autumn comes a huge, intense and stressful commitment for artists around the world, Inktober. Inktober is a daily art challenge that gets thousands of people to make art on the daily every year in October. So that's Inktober, and this is me, a stained glass artist who's only made 3 pieces this year. Look, I have plenty of excuses, but the real reason I've barely made any stained glass is that I've been kind of paralyzed with perfectionism. Every piece I wanted to work on has felt too grand, too complex, and every step too difficult to get any kind of momentum. So my plan is simple. Over the next month, I'm going to do Glasstober. Just like Inktober, except I will fulfill 1 prompt a week. Every week this month, I will design, cut, grind, paint, and solder brand new glass pieces to hopefully get out of my perfectionistic hole and make way more stuff. So let's see if it works. Week 1, frog. We're splashing straight into the pond of creativity with the first week's prompt, frog. I had a lot of different ideas for this one, and I also needed to consider that because I had very little time to complete these pieces and also not many glass sheets to play with, I had to keep my patterns extra simple. So while what I really wanted to do was to design a teeny frog perched up on a little potion bottle, I opted for a frog king with an ostentatious ruff and a crown. This character reminded me of Over the Garden Wall with its serious air and its silly appearance. If you don't know, Over the Garden Wall is a mini-series with a cult following, and with good reason. It's some of the best written fiction I've ever experienced, and it's a tale of 2 brothers lost in the woods. It's spooky, the beast might get them, they might get taken by the pumpkin people, and will they ever find their way home? Amongst the darkness, there is endless poetry lurking in these dark woods, and that includes an incredible scene where the frogs sing. Anyway, for this piece, I attempted to work with foil overlays for the first time. So basically, with stained glass, you wrap each piece of glass with a copper foil to then solder each piece together. But you can also add copper foil on top of your glass, as long as you're careful not to overheat your piece. I've never tried this technique before, so I thought this would be the perfect time. It, unfortunately, didn't work as I expected. The second my iron touched the copper foil, it lifted straight up like a helicopter. What? Like a cat hearing the sound of a can getting opened. It was so quick and I didn't really know what to do, so I just tossed the facial detailing off the piece and I kept trying to solder the overlays of the ruff in place. It was a little more feasible because I had in and out points that I could anchor them to. So even though these bits lifted too, I managed to keep them in place at the extremities at least, so that's something. Very weird, very spooky. I ended up painting the face's details later on, which isn't perfect, but I did my best. What's this? Oh, it's week 2 already, and we're heading towards Halloween Town for a very classic October prompt, pumpkin. Personally, I can't hear the word pumpkin without thinking of the ultimate Halloween icon, the master of fright himself, Jack Skellington, the Pumpkin King. So for this piece, I wanted to capture the essence of a traditional jack-o'-lantern. My original plan was ambitious. I was picturing a design with a full moon, silhouetted bats, and a spooky nighttime scene. However, I didn't have any white paint, so that vision had to be scaled back a little bit. Instead, I just embraced the simplicity of a classic jack-o'-lantern face, and I do think it looks very cute. Fun fact, jack-o'-lanterns aren't always carved from pumpkins. I've recently learned that here in the north of France, they traditionally carve turnips, and oh my god, they're actually terrifying. The shape and color of a turnip is a lot closer to a human's head shape and color, at least, you know, a dead one. So the result is genuinely super scary. The tradition of jack-o'-lanterns goes beyond just decoration. It's actually a type of apotropaic magic, meaning it's meant to protect. The lanterns were believed to ward off spirits, especially during Halloween, when the boundary between the worlds of the living and the dead are at their thinnest. And when you think about it, apotropaic magic is everywhere. We practice similar protective rituals every day. We knock on wood or throw salt over our left shoulder to keep evil things from happening to us. We wear charms like the evil eye or the Hamza hand, and witches might inscribe protective sigils on doorways, in rituals, or even in their food to keep negative energies at bay. The more you know. Week 3 was all about following the butterflies. I actually struggled a little with this one at first because the stained glass butterflies I tend to love are so intricate and so complex. And I wanted my butterfly to be a little different, not like other moths, you know the type, a bit witchy, a bit goth, kind of alternative. So I was considering painting one wing shape and inscribing magical symbols on it. But then I thought it might not be obvious that it was a butterfly wing if I filled it with random non-butterfly-y shapes. So then I looked at the basic structure of a butterfly. 2 sides, 2 halves, 2 opposites, a yes and a no. And then I thought of how butterflies are such fleeting creatures, representing the transition between one state to the other, life and death, and the fragility of immortal bodies, so a spirit butterfly it is. Okay, are you familiar with Ouija boards? They're the inspiration behind my butterfly pattern. These boards feature every letter of the alphabet, as well as the words hello, goodbye, yes, and no. They're meant to allow the living to communicate with the dead. How it works is you ask a spirit some questions while you rest your hand on the little planchette, and the spirit moves the planchette to spell out their response. Now, while I don't believe in this type of practice myself, I adore the look of Ouija boards. If you're wondering where the name Ouija comes from, sounds pretty random, it's actually what this type of board has named itself. Yeah, literally. A medium called Helen Peters Noseworthy, a medium called Noseworthy, found this out when she asked the board what its name meant, and it said it meant good luck, so that's pretty cute. So I painted my butterfly wings, and I had kind of a hard time getting the consistency of the paint to stay the same throughout. It took me a really long time to get somewhere semi-interesting, but I eventually landed somewhere I liked and finally soldered the pieces together. The last Glasstober prompt was demon. After playing around with some demon sketches that looked more like weird masks, I decided I hated everything I'd made and I needed a new direction. So instead of representing a literal demon, I thought about what might protect me from demons, and it struck me. The Power of 3. In case this means nothing to you, the Power of 3 refers to the 2000 series Charmed, my beloved. It followed 3 sisters who find out they're witches in their 20s and have to come to grips with their powers and the massive dangers they now face. There's actually a surprising amount of magical accuracy in the show, considering it is a relatively light-hearted fantasy show. So, the piece I'm working on is a triquetra. In Charmed, it represents the power of 3 and its ability to defeat even the greatest demons. But beyond Charmed the show, the number 3 is very powerful and commonly found in magical beliefs. In Wicca, the rule of 3 states that whatever energy a person puts out into the world, be it positive or negative, will be returned to that person threefold. Young girls summon Bloody Mary by whispering her name in the mirror 3 times. The witch can take the form of a maiden, a mother, or a crone, again 3 forms. In Christianity, you pray in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, 3 entities. You have to say Beetlejuice's name 3 times to summon him, and so on and so forth. Even outside of spiritual beliefs, the number 3 is omnipresent in our cultures. The most stable chairs are 3-legged stools, and our arguments are best made in 3 points. Anyway, this little triquetra suncatcher is so simple, but I really enjoyed making it. I chose a green to harken back to the Halliwell sisters' Book of Shadows, and then a transparent textured glass to keep it as simple and elegant as possible. I also tried to work really fast on the soldering stage to try and keep my iron from overheating, which I do think helped. So here we are, I've made my little collection of spooky season trinkets and I'm very proud of myself. I actually really liked working on smaller projects like these sun catchers because it was so much faster that I felt I was able to just pick up the pace when I could and just do one stage at a time but still make a lot of headway and feel really productive. So let me know what piece is your favorite. I think mine is the triquetra actually. I hope you've had an amazing spooky season and Halloween. Let me know what you ended up dressing up as. I'm still not entirely sure at the time of recording what I'm gonna do, but I found some really cute witchy boots for €5, so in some way they're gonna be involved. If you're not ready to say goodbye to spooky season, don't worry, me neither. In fact, it's spooky season all year round because magic is all year round. So if you like that, feel free to subscribe and I will see you next time. Bye!